Something is happening right now across the United States that I need you to understand, fully, clearly, and immediately. Not tomorrow, not in an hour, right now. Because what is developing across this country at this very moment is not a routine storm system that comes and goes without much consequence. What is taking shape right now has the potential to become one of the most significant and far-reaching weather events in recent memory, and I want to be completely honest with you about that from the very first word of this forecast. I do not reach for words like historic carelessly. I know those words get misused, I know the weather world sometimes cries wolf, and I know you have probably heard dramatic forecasts before that did not pan out. But when I look at everything coming together right now, the atmospheric setup, the scale of the threat, the number of states in the path of this system, I have a responsibility to tell you that this one is different. This one carries a level of potential impact that demands your full attention right now. So let us start from the top. Let us go back to the very beginning of this story, because this storm system did not just appear overnight. Its roots stretch all the way out over the open Pacific Ocean, where a massive and unusually powerful ridge of high pressure has been building and strengthening for several days. Now, a ridge of high pressure over the Pacific might not sound like it has anything to do with dangerous weather in the middle of the country, but it absolutely does. Because when you build a ridge of that magnitude over the Pacific, it forces the jet stream, the river of fast-moving air high in the atmosphere, to buckle sharply. It dips southward, hard and deep, as it crosses into North America. And when that happens, a trough forms on the other side of that ridge. And the trough that has formed from this particular pattern is not your typical mid-latitude trough. It is negatively tilted, meaning it is oriented in a way that maximizes the energy it can extract from the atmosphere. And it is digging aggressively deep into the heart of this country right now, pulling enormous amounts of upper-level energy directly into the central United States. Now here's where things begin to get genuinely alarming, because underneath all of that upper-level energy, a surface low-pressure system has been deepening, and the rate at which it has been deepening should stop you in your tracks. Over the last 24 hours, the central pressure of this low has been dropping at a rate that meteorologists rarely see with land-based storm systems. There is a term used in meteorology for when a low-pressure system deepens extremely rapidly. It is called bombogenesis. That term usually gets applied to storms forming over the ocean, but what we are watching unfold right now over the continental United States is the land equivalent of that same explosive process. The pressure is dropping fast, the storm is intensifying rapidly, and the models are showing it could continue to deepen even further as it tracks across the central United States in the coming hours. Why does that matter to you? Because the lower the central pressure gets inside a storm, the stronger the pressure gradient around it becomes. And the stronger that pressure gradient, the more violent the winds. Think of pressure gradient like a slope. The steeper the slope, the faster water moves down it. The same physics applies to air. And right now, that slope around this low-pressure system is becoming extraordinarily steep. The result is going to be sustained winds across a large portion of the central and southern plains reaching 50 to 60 miles per hour, and gusts in some areas that could push 70 to 80 miles per hour. Let that sink in for a moment. 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts in the middle of the country, far from any hurricane, far from any ocean. Those are borderline hurricane force winds, and they are going to arrive over a massive area. Trees will come down. Power lines will be torn apart. Structures that are not anchored and reinforced will face serious damage. The power outage potential with this system is not something to take lightly. In some areas, we could be talking about outages that stretch on for multiple days. Please make sure you have a plan for that right now before it happens. But I need to keep going, because the wind threat, as serious as it is not even the most dangerous part of this storm. We also have to talk about tornadoes. And when I look at the wind shear values that are being forecast across the central plains during the peak window of this event, I am genuinely concerned about what those numbers mean for tornado potential. Wind shear is the change in wind speed and direction with height. It is the ingredient that allows supercell thunderstorms to develop rotation, and it is what separates a run-of-the-mill storm from a tornado-producing monster. The shear values being modeled right now, particularly the 0 to 6 kilometer bulk shear, are running well above 100 knots in some portions of the threat area. Those are not just elevated numbers. Those are numbers that meteorologists associate with significant tornado outbreaks. Not one or two brief spin-ups, but a widespread, organized, sustained outbreak of severe thunderstorms capable of producing multiple long-track, violent tornadoes. And when I say violent, I am not using that word loosely. I am talking about tornadoes that could reach EF4 or EF5 intensity on the enhanced Fujita scale, the category of tornadoes that level homes, destroy entire neighborhoods, and leave behind damage that cannot be reversed. The area of greatest concern right now, based on where all the key ingredients are converging, the instability, the wind shear, the low-level jet, stretches from central Nebraska down through Kansas and Oklahoma and into northern Texas. Within that broad corridor, the zone I am most focused on, the zone that has the highest concentration of ingredients for violent tornado development, runs roughly from central Kansas through northwestern Oklahoma. If you live in that area, I want you to hear this clearly. Do not wait for a siren. Know your safe place right now and be ready to move to it immediately. But here is what is also important to understand. With a storm system this expansive and this powerful, the severe weather risk and the tornado risk extend well beyond that core zone. Let us talk about timing now, because that is absolutely critical information. The way this system is set up, the initial round of severe thunderstorms is expected to fire during the afternoon hours. Here is what drives that timing. There is something meteorologists call a cap, a layer of warmer air higher in the atmosphere that essentially acts like a lid on a pressure cooker. It holds storm development in check during the morning hours. But as the day heats up, as the dry line surges eastward and the upper-level energy moves in, that cap erodes. And when it breaks, it does not break slowly, it breaks all at once. And when it does, you can go from relatively calm skies to violent tornado-producing thunderstorms in a span of minutes. That is not an exaggeration. That is the physics of how these setups work, and it is one of the things that makes this particular situation so genuinely dangerous. The window for people to react and reach safety is going to be extremely short. That is why I need you to have your plan in place before any of this begins, not during it. And I also need to explain something about the warning system itself because it matters here. When the National Weather Service issues a tornado warning, that means rotation has been detected on radar or a tornado has been confirmed on the ground. That is your signal to take shelter immediately. But there is a level above that, a tornado emergency. A tornado emergency is issued only when a particularly large, powerful, and life-threatening tornado is occurring in or near a populated area. It is not issued routinely. It is reserved for the most extreme situations. And given the wind shear values and instability we are looking at with this system, the potential for tornado emergency level events is very real. If you hear those words on your weather radio, on your phone, anywhere, you need to understand that it is the most serious alert in the National Weather Service toolkit. Treat it accordingly. Now I want to make sure we cover the full scope of this storm, because it does not end with tornadoes and severe weather. This system is large enough and powerful enough that it is going to bring a completely different, but equally dangerous set of hazards to the northern tier of the country. While the central and southern plains deal with violent thunderstorms and tornadoes, the northern plains and upper Midwest are going to be hit by a major winter storm. We are talking about blizzard conditions in some areas, snowfall totals that in the hardest hit locations could be measured in feet, not inches. And when you combine that kind of heavy, wet snow with the wind speeds we already discussed, you get whiteout conditions, zero visibility, roads that become completely impassable in a matter of hours. Travel in those areas will not just be difficult, it could be fatal. If you are in the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Michigan, please understand that you are facing a storm that is just as serious and just as life-threatening as what is happening to your south. The hazard is different, but the danger level is not. And then there is the flooding threat, and I want to make sure this gets the attention it deserves, because flooding is statistically the #1 weather-related killer in the United States every single year. On the warm side of this storm system, across a large portion of the Mississippi Valley and the Ohio Valley, we are going to see extraordinarily heavy rainfall, amounts that could reach 4 to 6 inches in just a matter of hours in some locations. And here is what makes that so dangerous. In many of these areas, the ground is already saturated from recent rainfall. There is nowhere for that water to go except into the streets, into the creeks, into the rivers, and it is going to rise fast. Flash flooding can develop with almost no warning. It can turn a road that looks passable into a death trap in minutes. Please remember this rule and treat it as non-negotiable. If a road is covered with water, you do not cross it. Turn around. No destination, no schedule, no reason is worth your life. So what do you do right now? I want to give you something concrete and actionable, because this storm is not something that is still days away. It is arriving now, and the window for preparation is closing. The first thing you need to do, right now before this video ends, is identify your safe shelter location. If you are in a sturdy home with a basement, that basement is your shelter. If you do not have a basement, go to an interior room on the lowest floor, a bathroom, a hallway, somewhere with as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Know that location. Walk to it right now if you have not already. Make sure every single person in your household knows exactly where to go when it is time, because when the sirens go off is not the time to figure that out. Second, charge every electronic device you own right now. Your phone, your tablet, any backup battery packs. Power outages are coming. You are going to need those devices to receive weather alerts and to communicate with family. Make sure your phone is not on Do Not Disturb mode. A warning you cannot hear is a warning that cannot protect you. Third, gather your emergency supplies. Water, food, any medications that you or your family members need, a flashlight with working batteries. These are not luxuries in a situation like this. They are necessities. And fourth, set up multiple ways to receive warnings. A battery-powered weather radio is one of the most important tools you can own for situations exactly like this one. Combined with phone alerts, it gives you redundancy, because if one system fails, the other is still there. This storm is going to be remembered. The scale of it, the breadth of it, the potential for catastrophic impacts across such a large portion of this country. It is the kind of event that stays in the history books, and I need you to be on the right side of that story. Please share this forecast with people you know who are in the path of this storm. Getting this information to the right people at the right time can genuinely save lives. We will continue to update you as this situation develops. Stay aware of your surroundings, have your plan ready, and do not wait for the storm to arrive to take it seriously, because by then, the time to act will already have passed.